Hey everybody, it's Ron at Becoming Enlightened Together. Doing the second out of three readings that I'm doing today to try to bring me up to speed with the ones that I had missed throughout the week. I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. This one is basically about defending yourself, your health, your abundance, your independence while you're under attack, direct attack, and that the secrets are about to be revealed of those who have been working behind the scenes and who these people actually are. You might be surprised in some cases. Okay, so not everybody comes, at you with a smile or pretends to have your best interests at heart. Indeed, does. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality of our world. So we have to develop our intuition. All right, so the overall weekly energy is that of Aiwass, and Aiwass is in the reverse in today's, or the weekly energy as a whole. Now that talks about long journeys, sudden changes, bad timing, talks about restlessness, feeling cornered, maybe reckless haste, mistrust, betrayal, disharmony of all types. So it just talks about how things are very much not going the way that you had hoped or planned or desired. And that has a lot to do. And this could also be having a collateral effect also on the collective. It may seem things that are a little bit out of, their proper order, what you would, believe to be, the more orderly way of things to occur. But again, we don't see the bigger plan. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, its entirety. So there's entire battles going on behind the scenes. There's entire freaking storylines that are going on that could be much more vast than what we're experiencing in this 3D illusion. So remember, things happen typically in the 5-dimensional realm before it happens here in the 3D. So there are a lot of things happening right now, and a lot of battles that are occurring, a lot of wars that are both being won, and in some cases still raging on. Okay, so that's Aiwass. Now the past energy, or what we pulled last week for today, Saturday, last day of the week, is that of Hagles. Hagles is in the reverse for today's energy, and it talks about disruptions, disruptive forces, forces of nature, catastrophes of all kinds. So these are, things that are typically outside of our ability to, one, to make, in most cases, any kind of, take precautions about in advance, or, being prepared for them in advance. These are things that are typically happening as what seems to be an act of God or nature, so to speak. So you may be sensing or feeling a lot of power loss in your life right now as a result of the situations that are happening. Maybe a sense of stagnation, feeling a great deal of pain and disharmony, suffering, hardships, crises, even sickness. You may have made yourself sick just over the amount of, frustration and the tribulation that you're going through and everything else. It's just without ceasing. Some of us try to find a way of transmuting that energy into something more positive, or we can allow it to, like a cancer, eat away at us. Those are really your two options in terms of these types of things. So it's imperative that we walk more in a high vibrational, aspect instead of the low vibrational decisions that most of us typically would make in situations like this. You feel a sense of pain or whatever, and you want to minimize or do away with that pain altogether, and you're willing to do whatever it takes. Sometimes including very unethical things, to take the pain away from you and perhaps even transfer it to somebody else. That's not very high vibrational. So I'll just leave it at that. So that's basically what we're looking at as far as the past. And now present energy is that of Aiwass. It reminds us to protect ourselves, because that's what Aiwass or Aiwass in the upright actually refers to. It's defense and protection. Protective need to shield, acting as a shield for others as well as yourself. Talks about somebody who's dependable, can be relied upon. a man or woman, talks about somebody who's experiencing a sense of enlightenment. Um, Basically, somebody who has the driving force to acquire or to change their life based on their own will. In other words, regardless of what situation you are, um, whether you are in the collective, I think this is talking specifically to those karmics out there who are on the borderline right now, which way they're going to go with this. They have this misdirected belief system that thinks that they just don't give up, and that makes them somehow stronger or greater. But to do something is wrong, and you already know what the results are going to be, despite that, and you know that it's going to provide you absolutely nothing, no victory, no forward momentum, no advanced movement. You're not helping anybody in this process, not even yourself, and yet you continue on. Well, it's showing you that that is foolhardy at very best. Okay, so it's basically just reminding you that we're all forced sometimes to confront ourselves and our own inner demons, and how we respond to that really defines who we are as far as our character. And many of the people that we're talking about are going, either one or the other direction. And we're talking specifically about the karmics in this case, okay? So, but you do have a target that you have pinpointed, and it can be achieved, but you have to make the effort, okay? So that's another aspect of this particular energy. So it's very positive if you apply it as such. Now, your obstacles and challenges are that of Urus, which again is very positive in the upright. I even have this one tattooed on my chest, right here. Now, Urus talks about strength, tenacity, courage, talks about vitality, health. It talks about creativity, untamed potential. It talks about understanding, wisdom, courage, yet again. It talks about one's masculine potency and sexual desire. It talks about, again, the shaping of power through one's own will. So you have all of the energy necessary to do it. The reason this is an obstacle or a challenge is some of the karmics believe that that energy would be best utilized in continuing their nonsensical fight against you, even though there was never a battle to begin with. There was no competition, as far as you knew, to begin with. But their envy, their jealousy, and all the other negative, low vibrational traits, attributes, or whatever, which led them to single you out in the first place, are what's acting as a snare for them now. They're not able to get out of a cage that they themselves built. They built it for you, but they themselves are now trapped within it. So that's kind of what this is intimating. Now, as far as the help and advice, we have that of Perthro. And Perthro, too, is in the reverse in this case. And this talks about how secrets are going to be revealed. The things that were done in secret, as the Bible itself refers to, Christianity, tells us that all things that were done in secret will be revealed. And that's exactly where we're at right now, energetically speaking. So they're doing everything they can to fight that, to hide, their part in certain previous decision-making processes, or even, actions that they've taken, which were specific and centered around you. You probably were not even aware of some of the people that were rallied up against you and what they were saying and doing. It was greater than just slander. Okay, they literally wanted to destroy your very existence. So not only does it talk about secrets being revealed, but unexpected results as well are going to come from these secrets being revealed. You're going to see who it was indeed that was disloyal, who was for, who knows, maybe their entire life, suffering from multitudes of addictions, which even to this day they still surrender to, stagnation, and a sense of loneliness again. Now, these are things, of course, that most of us within the collective have experienced at some point along our journey as we were forced to come toe to toe with our demons, so to speak. Okay, and then take them on or make friends with them. It's probably a more accurate way of stating that particular act. You're not overcoming them in the sense of destroying something that is a part of you. You are both light and dark, male and female, masculine and feminine, positive and negative. I mean, for lack of a better way of putting it, all those things which are polar opposites. We have both. So you made friends with it. You learn to work with it and not against it, or have it work against you, so to speak. That's what this is intimating. And that's, again, what the future outcome also implies with Canes, which I also have tattooed. Now, Canes is that about the torch, the flame, that light bulb going off over your head, the wisdom, the understanding, the awareness, the clarity, daylight clarity versus nighttime obscurity kind of a thing, the creativity that one has, the ability to orate, to write, to create something. So a revelation being revealed, okay, creativity, inspiration, all of those things that I keep repeating, but to give you the basic gist of what this energy embodies. So your power, again, to create your own reality with your will, being shown here. The power of light versus darkness, and again, talking about passion and sexual love and rapport. So basically, we're being expected to defend our own health and abundance while we're going through this time, as there are those who are still working very, very diligently against us, not realizing that all this energy's got to go somewhere at some point. And if it's not touching you, if you're doing the right things, you're doing the shadow work, so to speak, then you have nothing to worry about. All that energy is going to go right back to where it emanated from in the first place. It has to go somewhere. And if you're not using it for your own constructive purposes, in other words, transmuting that energy thrown at you, and it may be in the form of something you're feeling that just out of the blue, you're feeling it. And it may be from your very own twin flame, or it could be also from your soulmate, whatever the case may be, because we can have karmic versions of those as well as dharmic. So, I mean, we can have those that are there to force us to learn a very important lesson we wouldn't otherwise be able to learn from. Only they can show us that, because they're showing us the mirror of that, And this is why we have such very strong feelings towards this person or these people. They're not all positive. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have these kinds of activities in the positive aspect too. It could work out that indeed this could be a very, very positive relationship. But that's only if both people are putting effort into the affirmative. If one is putting it all in the negative and the other is putting it in the positive, well, the positive is going to win in the end. The positive is typically going to end up taking quite a bit of abuse before that happens, if they're prone to be very empathetic and really want to see only the good in people, even when they're showing them nothing but, red flags constantly. So, and I know I've been there many, many times myself. I have done that. I've often fallen in love, for example, with something I projected onto somebody. Because of what I saw on the outside, I presumed this, that, and the other thing onto them. I projected a more positive them than was truly there. And the true them had, carte blanche because of that to get under our radar and do all kinds of mischief, So I'm very careful these days at who I let into my sphere of energy and influence. I no longer believe that I have the duty to allow anybody and everybody else into my energy anymore. In fact, I cut people off on a regular basis today. And I don't feel wrong about that at all. I help those who want to truly be helped and that I can help. For others, they try to utilize my energy for their own best, or what they feel is their own, betterment. They feel they have a right to it, and they don't. It's mine. just like your energy is yours. If I was to take it from you, I would be stealing or extorting from you. It's wrong. It's spiritually wrong as well as it would be from a materialistic standpoint. It's no different. So, and that's where these people are at. Some of them are very, very negative and they cannot see life in a way that you do in terms of how to make the proper and, you know, most well adjusted, most high vibrational, uh, if you will, decisions regarding your life. And it's not always the easiest thing. In fact, oftentimes it's exactly the opposite. It's very difficult. So that's where we find ourselves today, both karmic and those within the collective. We have to make decisions every day, and it's possible for those who are even in the collective to fall. Okay, Satan himself was an angel of light. He was in charge of music in heaven, and he brought a lot of that, if you will, to earth. Regardless of who you think um, Lucifer actually is. I said Satan, but it's Lucifer I'm referring to. And they are two different personalities. One is intrinsically evil, the other one is intrinsically spiritual only. Does not recognize or even want to, cohort with anything materialistic or physical per se. It's basically the way that it's looked at in terms of um, esoteric, not exoteric belief systems versus good versus evil kind of a thing. No, the place that we're looking for is the balance point in between, because we both have light and dark. We want to be in the middle where we have complete control of both. We're not allowing good to, allow all manner of evil to do anything and everything it wants and to take our energy without us having, any control or say in it. That's not good. That in itself is inherently bad. So the balance point is to say no. We stop here. I give, you receive. You give, I receive. If there's no reciprocity, there's no relationship, and I'm not required to allow you in. It's that simple. Now, I know it doesn't seem simple because of the way that we, put into practice the way that we interact with people on a day-to-day, but it needs to be that way. And most empaths have to learn that the very hardest of ways. To have those closest to you be the very ones who have, betrayed you in the worst possible way sometimes. But you don't lose heart, you don't lose confidence that there's still somewhere out there good people, right? Just because you don't have exposure to them on the day-to-day doesn't mean they don't exist. And that doesn't mean that you're saying you're a good person, everybody else is evil. It just means that you have tried to do the right things again and again, only to be met with people doing quite the opposite again and again. And you could never figure out why. I mean, how is it they're able to operate in that type of mindset? And you find out people simply are just wired that way. They don't have the empathetic connections that you may have. So they're not burdened, so to speak, by having convictions of what anybody else is going to, feel or suffer as a result of your actions or inactions. And it's terrible because it's literally a piece of you being completely removed that needs to be there for you to be whole or to be balanced. So there's good and bad in all of us. So our job is to balance that negative with the positive. In fact, use that negative sometimes to achieve positive. As much as an oxymoron as that may sound like, it's not. Sometimes we need that angst and those things which are associated with the passion and sexuality and all the things that make us really go, that extra mile or push a little bit harder sometimes. We use that in a positive light to push us forward, push an agenda forward, or push, our abilities to do good, project it further as a result of that. So we can use what is often associated as negative energy in a positive light, or transmute it, if you will, into something golden. Okay? So that's what today's energy is about. Now let's go ahead and look at the last reading for this week. And I will post this lickety split. In the meantime, y'all stay victorious out there, and I'll see you again in just a few minutes. Okay? Take care. God bless.